Budgeting for a baby can be a challenge. Once you're planning for a child, your budget will completely change. I'm currently pregnant, expecting our first child later this year, and I can already see that budgeting for a baby is going to make a huge difference. Here's the thing, money's tight right now, and I am aiming to use procrastination in my favor. So for that reason, I have tried to buy as little as possible. Marketing toward pregnant women and expecting families is intense and at times predatory, and I didn't want to fall victim to any of that. So for that reason, I really tried to put off as much spending as I possibly could. So with that said, now that the time's getting closer, I am going to show you everything I plan to spend for the baby, including the very few things that I have already purchased. I'll let you know the areas where I'm hoping to save as much as possible, as well as the area where I am okay with splurging a little bit. Plus, I'll let you know the one area that I am okay with spending probably a lot more than is probably average for the average person. So if you're interested in seeing my full budget breakdown plan on my spending for the baby, then just keep watching. So here's my strategy so far. As I mentioned in the intro, I am trying to use procrastination as my friend. I can already see that I am being marketed to insanely, and I haven't really told that many people. I do have an Amazon registry, and some people very, very, very kindly had purchased items off the registry, and I'm so thankful for that. I'm using the registry though more as a way for myself to keep track of the things that I am looking at and would like to buy, and then I let myself think about it. Money is pretty tight right now, which I'm hoping to use to my advantage because I just don't have the additional disposable income to spend on frivolous things for the baby. I think about how my mom and many people's parents managed years ago. They didn't have all this fancy stuff. I slept in a drawer for the first year and a half of my life. I mean, there wasn't a lot of fancy stuff out there, and as a result, our parents just made do with what they had. So that is very much the philosophy that I am going into this whole baby budget with. I am really just trying to keep it to the bare necessities. So I really didn't start planning the registry until I would say maybe 2 months ago, and I'm pretty much at the point where I should start getting things ready to go now. So I really gave myself that 2-month lead time before I even started to purchase things. So how much do I expect to spend in all? I would like to keep it around $1,000 to $1,500. I'm really trying to watch every single penny, so I'd like to keep it to that range, and that's not including any medical expenses that I may have coming up. So this is actually the one area where I agree with Dave Ramsey wholeheartedly in that babies aren't that expensive in terms of the things you have to buy for them. He says that they're kind of comparable to puppies, which I would kind of agree with. What do you need? A place for them to sleep, something for them to eat, and a way to bring them home, right? So those are the 3 areas that I really tried to have covered at the outset. So with that said, I will tell you the areas that I'm hoping to save versus the areas I'm willing to splurge, and then I will show you my spreadsheet with the breakdown of how much I'm anticipating spending and what I've spent already. The areas where I'm hoping to save as much as possible are in the area of clothes, because there's one thing I've heard from almost all of my friends with kids is that your kids grow so fast that they just really don't have time to be in these fancy outfits. So I'm aiming not to buy a lot of fancy clothes for the baby. You also don't know what your baby's gonna like until they get here. They might really not like a certain style of outfit. It might just not be practical for you. So I'm really trying to delay purchasing any items of clothing for as long as possible and possibly keep that spending to a minimum, and also buy used whenever possible when it comes to clothes. The area where I am hoping to splurge just a tiny bit is in the area of sleep. So I've heard that there are certain things you can purchase that might help a baby get to sleep easier. It's kind of a lottery whether or not your baby will respond well to certain items, so I'll show you that in my full budget breakdown. The only 3 baby items that I have so far are the following. I have a car seat stroller combo, so I can actually bring the baby home from the hospital, which is important. They won't let you leave without a car seat, which I have. The second item is a crib bassinet pack and play type thing, which was very, very kindly gifted off of the registry that I put together. And the third thing are some blankets, because I feel like I can use them for many things, for keeping the baby warm, to as burp cloth if I need to swaddling the baby if I need to. So I feel like they're kind of an all-purpose item. So those are the three things that I have for the baby so far. And if I need other things, I'll buy them as I go. So with that, come check out the spreadsheet that I've put together for items that I am planning to buy for the baby. Okay, here is my budget and expense tracker featuring the baby and mom expenses tab for everything I've planned to spend for baby. So to go through, I have the category that I'm including it in, the item, the cost, whether I'm planning to buy new or used, when to buy, either now or wait, and where I want to buy from, the purchase price. So if I did buy it, how much I actually spent, the purchase date, and then is it FSA or HSA eligible, which is probably my number one tip, was if you were planning to get pregnant, max out your HSA or FSA if you have one available. I kind of rolled the dice when I did that at the beginning of the year. I was thinking, well, maybe there's a chance. And if it didn't happen and I had all that money, I was just gonna get LASIK. It turns out that I did need that money for the baby and baby expenses, and that has really come in handy for any medical expenses, as well as things that I've discovered are FSA eligible, which was a huge bonus, and I will go into that later. So starting at the top in the category of transport, the car seat, this is a car seat I ended up getting. It is the Evenflow Extend Travel System, which will go from infant to toddler and can also expand to two. For two children, if that's the direction we end up going. And I had planned to spend about $400, and I actually ended up buying it on Amazon Prime Day, not from Amazon, but from Bye Bye Baby, which as of this moment is still part of Bed Bath & Beyond, therefore was eligible for those 20% off coupons. So I ended up saving like $80 getting that. And the total purchase price was $313, which was amazing. So we can bring the baby home from the hospital, which is good. Next, moving on down, we have diaper essentials. And here's another one where I figure I don't want to buy a ton of newborn diapers because who knows how long baby's going to be in them. And I've also heard that we don't have room for a changing table, so that's not even an option. But I've heard people say they just change the baby where they happen to be, whether that's on the couch or on the bed. So I don't really plan to buy a separate table or anything. I may get one of those like plastic things that hooks onto the dresser. I'm kind of circling around on that. You can see that right, did I actually changing pad right there, right there. And someone very kindly gifted us a box of diapers. So I feel like we're good for at least the first week, and anything else we need, we have Amazon Prime. So we're good to go there. Also, as a tip, I've heard if you bring some olive oil, the baby's bum in the hospital, it makes it easier to clean up those first few poops, which I've heard can be very, very sticky. So possibly TMI to anyone who's not currently pregnant or looking at this, but it's just a tip that I heard. So we plan to bring some of that like in a little container. All right, next is the area of sleep. Now this is the area that I am okay with splurging a little bit in. So I am looking at purchasing this new, most likely used, most likely from Facebook Marketplace. So I've kind of been going back and forth and looking at a few different options, hoping to pull the trigger sometime soon because we're getting pretty close. But we do thankfully have a pack and play plus bassinet option that was purchased very kindly again from our registry. So I feel like we're good to go on that. I actually just got that yesterday. So I'm planning to set that up today. So we will have a place for the baby to sleep that's not a drawer. So we'll be able to use that for the baby to sleep immediately. And I did buy those blankets. So I'm excited about that. They're like the hospital blankets, but larger. I heard about them from Kelly on Freedom in a Budget. So I'm excited for those. I'm gonna wash them. I have some baby detergent coming soon. Okay, and in the area of clothing, again, really planning to save as much as possible here. I've looked at some clothing lots, again, on Facebook Marketplace, and that's kind of the direction I wanna go, with the exception of like swaddles if we need them. But again, just really waiting for the baby to let us know what's gonna work as far as that goes. I mean, toward the end of the summer, I mean, baby's not gonna need too much. Okay, so the area of feeding, this is another area where I just made a big purchase and was happy to see that like 90% of the things that I purchased were covered by the FSA and HSA. So I was able to use my card for that. And the only thing I only had to spend like $28, which is really, really good. So I was happy about that. So the plan is to start breastfeeding, if at all possible. That is my preference. If we need to go formula, fine, we'll deal with that kind of when it comes. And I didn't want to overspend on breastfeeding supplies if that ends up not being the direction that we're gonna go. So I figured $28 isn't too bad to spend total for breastfeeding supplies. For bathing, again, not too much. We just stick the baby in, actually that's not right. Bathe the baby in the sink and hold them until they get too big. So we'll see how that goes. Glider, and so home and small furniture, we live in a very compact co-op, so there's not a lot of room for extra furniture. I was thinking that a glider might be nice, but I'll use the couch until things change. So that's kind of where we're going. I also like to have a portable bouncer that I can put the baby in, kind of if I need to move to a different room or do something hands-free. We'll see how that goes. So haven't purchased it yet. I have not purchased that. So nothing there. And this is another area. So in the area of, you know what? Sorry, this formula's not right. Postpartum care. So that was pretty important. I wanted to make sure that I was covered as far as that goes, because I just want to be as well prepared for that recovery for myself as I possibly can be, so that I'm in a good mental frame of mind. I've purchased nothing as far as luxury items. I thought it might be cute to have like a matching robe and swaddle set plus a t-shirt for dad, but we'll see how that goes. And finally, this is the area, in the area of education, is where I was totally okay with spending more than average, because I feel that I have seen the difference that education and being well informed has made. It's not a guarantee that everything's going to go according to plan or according to preference, but it is a way to make myself feel better informed. So I was really okay with spending a larger amount in this area. So I did spend money for a training course from the Positive Birth Company on hypnobirthing, which it sounds a little bit sort of hippie to say hypnobirthing, but all it is a logical, evidence-based approach to childbirth. And so far the course has been very, very positive just in helping me get my mental frame right. Also, for some background, my mother was a birth educator, so she taught birth education classes. She had a class of 5 families, so I kind of grew up with that knowledge. But for those 5 families that she taught, she only taught 1 class. They were all first-time moms. For those 5 families, she would feed them all raspberry leaf tea. And this is 20 years ago, before there was all the internet and information was widely circulated. Now, pretty much it's common practice to tell expecting women to drink raspberry leaf tea to bring on labor. But she was feeding her class participants raspberry leaf tea every week, and I think they met for maybe 5 months. Every week. So that was once a week for 5 months. And out of those 5 families, not one of them had a labor that lasted longer than 6 hours. And her experience is not normal, and I know this. So it was really, really unusual. My mom's always been ahead of the curve when it comes to natural remedies and natural nutrition. Happy to have more knowledge as far as that goes. I'm actually thinking of potentially purchasing another course on childbirth physiology, so we'll see how that goes, and I will add that to the sheet if I do. So you can see this is the area where, with the exception of transportation for the stroller and car seat, that's the one area that I've spent the most in so far. So this is my total spending. So far I've spent about $700. My plan is around $35, and that's a high on the high end, but I had thought maybe $1,000 to $1,500 before the baby gets here. So we'll see how we do. And I also have my packing list for the hospital, just to remember what things to put in the actual bag. So there you have it. That's what I got. But that's a full breakdown of everything I've spent so far and everything I plan to spend for the baby, and my budget, including budgeting for the baby. So if you have any questions, let me know. Let me know also if you have planned, have budgeted for a baby. Let me know what the best money you spent was. Let me know where you were able to save a little bit. If you have some tips, I'd love to hear them. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll keep watching. Bye.